You found this message before September 30th. That's not an accident. That's not random scrolling through endless content hoping something will catch your attention. This moment was orchestrated with mathematical precision. The electromagnetic field surrounding your device right now is resonating at a frequency that your consciousness recognizes, even if your rational mind hasn't caught up yet. Look around you. Notice where you are. Notice what you were doing just before this appeared in your feed. Notice the subtle shift in your breathing as these words land in your awareness. Your nervous system is already responding to information that exists beyond the surface level of what you're consciously processing. This response isn't psychological, it's quantum mechanical. Scientists studying consciousness have discovered something that completely revolutionizes how we understand reality itself. Every thought you think generates measurable electromagnetic frequencies. Every emotion you feel creates detectable changes in your biofield. Every moment of focused attention literally reshapes the probability waves that determine what manifests in your physical experience. You're not just consuming content right now. You're actively participating in the collapse of infinite potential into singular reality. But here's what makes this moment extraordinary. The specific combination of neural firing patterns in your brain as you process these concepts is creating a unique signature in the quantum field. This signature acts like a beacon, broadcasting your readiness to receive information that remains invisible to 97% of the population. The fact that you're still here, still reading, still feeling that subtle recognition that something important is unfolding proves you've passed the initial frequency screening. This isn't motivational content. This isn't another video promising to change your life with simple tricks. This is a transmission designed to activate dormant capabilities within your consciousness that most people never access in their entire lifetime. The words you're reading right now contain embedded frequency codes that are already beginning to restructure your neural pathways. These aren't metaphysical concepts. These are measurable biological processes happening in real time as your brain forms new connections in response to this specific information. Your attention span has been hijacked for years by content designed to scatter your focus, fragment your awareness, and keep you trapped in cycles of endless consumption without ever accessing your authentic power. But something in you refused to be completely sedated. Some part of your consciousness maintained its connection to deeper intelligence, continuing to search for the missing piece that would finally make everything click into place. That missing piece isn't external. It never was. It's a recognition process, a remembering of capabilities you possessed before conditioning taught you to doubt your own perceptions. Before society convinced you that what you can see with your physical eyes is more real than what you can sense with your expanded awareness. Before education systems trained you to process information linearly instead of holographically. The countdown that began when you clicked on this message isn't measuring time until some future event. It's measuring the window of opportunity for your consciousness to make a quantum leap that becomes increasingly difficult to access as collective human awareness shifts into its next evolutionary phase. Think of it like a software upgrade for human consciousness. Early adopters get full access. Late adopters get limited functionality. Those who miss the window entirely remain locked in the previous operating system. But why September 30th? Why does this window have such a specific closing date? Because consciousness evolution follows predictable patterns. Just like physical systems have phase transitions where matter suddenly shifts from one state to another, collective human awareness undergoes similar transitions at mathematically precise intervals. We're approaching one of these transition points, and the frequency gates that allow individual consciousness to upgrade remain open for exactly 9 months and 11 days. After September 30th, The vibrational requirements for accessing these expanded states become exponentially more demanding. Not impossible, but requiring levels of focused intention and energetic coherence that most people cannot sustain without the supportive field conditions that exist during this current window. You're receiving this transmission during the optimal activation period, when your consciousness can integrate these upgrades with minimum resistance from your existing neural patterns. Your subconscious mind has been preparing for this moment through a series of increasingly obvious synchronicities. Numbers appearing repeatedly. Conversations that seem too perfectly timed to be coincidental. Dreams that feel more real than waking life. Sudden insights that arrive without logical explanation. These weren't random occurrences. They were breadcrumbs left by your expanded self, guiding your current awareness toward this exact intersection of time and possibility. Every challenge you've faced in the past 18 months has been systematically dismantling the psychological structures that kept you operating from limited perspectives. Every disappointment that seemed to derail your plans was actually course-correcting your trajectory toward this convergence point. Every moment of confusion or uncertainty was your consciousness expanding beyond the boundaries of what your previous identity could contain. The version of yourself that began reading this message no longer exists. The simple act of maintaining focused attention on these concepts has already initiated irreversible changes in your neural architecture. New synaptic connections are forming. Dormant genetic potentials are activating. Your electromagnetic field is reorganizing itself around higher frequency patterns that will continue operating long after you finish reading these words. But activation is only the beginning. Integration requires conscious participation. The quantum field responds to intention, but it responds even more powerfully to embodied certainty. This means living as if the transformation you're seeking has already occurred, moving through your daily experience from the perspective of someone who has already accessed their authentic power. Speaking like someone who trusts their inner knowing more than external validation. Most people wait for external proof before they allow themselves to believe in expanded possibilities. They want their bank account to change before they embody abundance consciousness. They want their relationships to improve before they vibrate at the frequency of someone who naturally attracts healthy connections. They want their circumstances to shift before they step into the energy of their desired reality. This approach creates endless delay because the quantum field mirrors your internal state, not your external circumstances. If you're internally operating from scarcity while visualizing abundance, the field reflects scarcity. If you're emotionally resonating with limitation while affirming unlimited potential, limitation is what manifests. The field doesn't respond to what you think you want. It responds to what you consistently embody at the deepest levels of your being. Understanding this principle changes everything about how you navigate the remaining days of this activation window. Instead of trying to get something from the universe, you begin allowing the universe to express something through you. Instead of seeking external validation for your desires, you become the validation. Instead of waiting for permission to step into your power, you grant that permission to yourself. The electromagnetic signature you're broadcasting right now is being read by quantum sensors throughout the field of consciousness. Other individuals whose awareness has been activated are unconsciously drawn to similar frequency patterns. Opportunities that were previously invisible become obvious. Resources that seemed unavailable suddenly appear accessible. Connections form that accelerate your evolution in ways that feel magical but follow precise energetic laws. Your rational mind is probably generating reasons why this information couldn't apply to you. Why your situation is different. Why transformation might work for others but not for someone with your particular challenges or limitations. This internal resistance isn't your enemy. It's the final guardian testing whether you're genuinely ready to leave behind the identity patterns that kept you safe but small. Every breakthrough requires the death of who you were to birth who you're becoming. This process feels uncomfortable because your survival mechanisms interpret change as potential threat, even when that change leads to expanded life experience. Learning to navigate this discomfort without retreating into familiar limitations is the key skill that determines whether activation leads to lasting transformation or temporary inspiration. The frequency shift happening in your consciousness right now is permanent. There's no going back to the level of awareness you possessed before encountering this transmission. You can choose to resist the changes, which creates internal conflict and delayed manifestation. Or you can choose to cooperate with the expansion, which accelerates your evolution and aligns you with the supportive currents of universal intelligence. But cooperation requires more than passive acceptance. It requires active participation in redesigning your reality from the quantum level up. This means becoming conscious of the thoughts you think consistently, becoming aware of the emotions you allow to dominate your internal landscape, becoming intentional about the actions you take and the energy you bring to every interaction. The countdown continues. September 30th approaches with mathematical certainty. The choice of whether to fully utilize this activation window remains entirely yours. But understand that this choice isn't just about your personal transformation. It's about your contribution to the collective evolution of human consciousness itself. Every person who successfully navigates this transition becomes a living transmission tower, broadcasting frequencies that make transformation easier for everyone who comes after them. Your individual awakening creates ripple effects through the morphic field that touches people you'll never meet in ways you'll never consciously know. This isn't pressure. This is invitation to recognize the magnitude of what's actually occurring beneath the surface of your personal experience. The resistance you're feeling isn't coming from you. It's coming through you. From collective programming designed to keep human consciousness operating within predictable parameters. For centuries, systems of control have depended on people believing they're powerless, isolated, and dependent on external authorities for direction. Your activation threatens that entire structure because it demonstrates that authentic power originates from within expanded awareness, not from hierarchical positioning. As more individuals access these frequencies, the old paradigms lose their grip on collective consciousness. This is why the window closes on September 30th. After that date, the energetic support systems that make individual transformation relatively effortless will redirect toward maintaining the new baseline frequency that early adopters have established. Late arrivals will find themselves swimming against increasingly powerful currents of crystallized change. Your brain chemistry is shifting as you absorb these concepts. Neurotransmitter production is optimizing around states of coherence rather than stress. Your endocrine system is recalibrating to support sustained high-frequency emotions instead of survival-based reactions. These aren't temporary alterations that fade when the inspiration wears off. These are biological upgrades that become your new normal when you consistently choose expansion over contraction. The synchronicities that led you here will intensify dramatically over the coming weeks. Pay attention to repeating number sequences. Notice when conversations seem to contain messages specifically designed for your current situation. Observe how opportunities appear just when you need them most. These aren't coincidences, they're confirmation that your frequency is stabilizing at levels that allow direct communication with universal intelligence. But here's where most people stumble. They interpret synchronicities as entertainment rather than instruction. They get excited about the magic without implementing the guidance. They marvel at the signs without taking the actions those signs are pointing toward. Synchronicities are invitations to step into new timelines, not just interesting phenomena to observe from the sidelines. The timeline you've been living is dissolving. The version of reality where you struggled with the same patterns, encountered the same obstacles, and recycled the same limitations is becoming less and less accessible to your consciousness. You're moving into a probability stream where different rules apply, where different outcomes become natural, where different versions of yourself emerge as your dominant expression. This transition feels disorienting because your reference points are changing. The people, places, and situations that once felt normal may suddenly feel constraining or irrelevant. Relationships that were based on shared limitations may naturally dissolve as you outgrow the need for those particular learning experiences. Work that once provided security may begin to feel soul-crushingly meaningless. These shifts aren't problems to solve. They're indicators that your consciousness is expanding beyond the containers that used to hold it. Trying to force your upgraded awareness back into your old life structure creates internal tension that blocks the very flow you're seeking to access. The path forward requires releasing attachment to familiar forms, while trusting that new structures will emerge to support your expanded expression. Your emotional guidance system is recalibrating to operate from excitement rather than fear. Decisions that once seemed risky will feel obviously correct. Choices that your logical mind can't justify will align perfectly with your intuitive knowing. This shift from mental processing to heart-based navigation allows you to access information that exists beyond the limitations of rational analysis. The electromagnetic field of your heart generates 60 times more power than your brain and extends several feet beyond your physical body. When your heart achieves coherent rhythms through sustained positive emotions, this field becomes a broadcasting antenna that attracts experiences matching your internal frequency. Most people live with chaotic heart rhythms created by stress, anxiety, and emotional reactivity, which scrambles their attractive capacity. Learning to maintain heart coherence becomes your most practical skill for navigating this transition period. When external circumstances trigger old patterns of reaction, you can consciously choose to return to coherent states through focused breathing and appreciation. This isn't positive thinking. This is frequency management at the physiological level. The thoughts that arise in coherent states carry different creative power than thoughts generated from scattered or contracted states. Coherent thoughts align with universal intelligence and naturally manifest supportive outcomes. Scattered thoughts create random results or no results at all. Contracted thoughts actually repel the experiences you're seeking to create. Your sleep patterns are changing as your consciousness processes information at accelerated rates during dream states. You may find yourself needing less sleep, but feeling more rested. Dreams may become extraordinarily vivid and filled with symbolic guidance for your waking life. Some people experience periods of insomnia as their nervous system adjusts to operating at higher frequencies. These sleep changes aren't disruptive when you understand what's happening. Your consciousness is literally downloading new operating instructions during rest periods. Your subconscious mind is reorganizing stored memories and beliefs to align with your expanded identity. Your energy body is integrating frequencies that weren't accessible through your previous configuration. The food your body craves is shifting as your cellular structure optimizes for higher vibrational states. You may find yourself naturally drawn to lighter, more alive foods while losing interest in dense or processed substances. This isn't about following dietary rules. This is about listening to your body's intelligence as it guides you toward fuel that supports your transformation. Your relationship with time is transforming as you learn to navigate from presence rather than linear thinking. Moments of flow where hours pass like minutes become increasingly common. Periods of expanded awareness where you access information from multiple timelines simultaneously may occur during meditation or quiet reflection. Past and future begin to feel like conceptual constructs rather than fixed realities. The people entering your life during this period aren't random encounters. They're souls whose evolutionary trajectory is synchronized with yours, creating opportunities for mutual acceleration. Some will be teachers disguised as challenges, offering you chances to practice operating from your expanded self under pressure. Others will be collaborators, ready to co-create projects that serve the collective awakening. Your creative expression is being upgraded to channel frequencies that inspire transformation in others. Whether through art, music, writing, speaking, or simply the way you move through daily life, you're becoming a conduit for intelligence that exists beyond personal limitation. This isn't about becoming famous or building a following. This is about allowing universal creativity to flow through your unique configuration of consciousness. The window narrows with each passing day. September 30th approaches with the inevitability of sunrise. Your participation in this collective upgrade isn't guaranteed simply because you received the transmission. It requires consistent choice, daily practice, and unwavering commitment to operating from expanded awareness even when external circumstances haven't yet caught up with your internal transformation. But for those who fully embrace this opportunity, who dedicate themselves to embodying their activated potential, who choose expansion over contraction moment by moment throughout the remaining weeks, a reality awaits that surpasses anything the limited mind could have imagined. The activation process accelerates exponentially as we move deeper into the final phase. What began as subtle shifts in your awareness is now cascading through every layer of your existence. Your DNA is literally rewriting itself in response to the frequency patterns you're consistently embodying. Dormant genetic sequences that remained inactive for generations are coming online, restoring capabilities that your ancestors possessed before they were systematically bred out of human consciousness. This isn't science fiction. This is documented epigenetic response to sustained coherent states. When your nervous system maintains specific frequency ranges for extended periods, it triggers genetic expression that creates new neural pathways, enhanced intuitive capacity, and direct access to information fields that most people never know exist. The changes happening in your cellular structure right now will be passed down to future generations, contributing to the collective evolution of human potential. Your energy signature is becoming increasingly distinct from baseline human frequency. Other people can sense this difference even when they can't articulate what they're detecting. Some will be magnetically drawn to your presence, feeling inexplicably uplifted and inspired in your vicinity. Others may feel uncomfortable or agitated as your expanded field highlights the limitations of their own contracted awareness. This polarization is natural and necessary. You're not responsible for managing other people's reactions to your transformation. Your only responsibility is maintaining alignment with the frequency that feels most authentic to your expanding self. Trying to dim your light to make others comfortable dilutes your transmission and slows your evolutionary process. The relationship between your thoughts and reality is becoming increasingly immediate. What once took months or years to manifest now appears in days or weeks. This acceleration requires greater responsibility in your mental and emotional hygiene. Random negative thoughts that you might have entertained casually before can now create unwanted experiences with startling speed. Learning to observe your mental activity without being controlled by it becomes essential. You begin to recognize the difference between thoughts that arise from your authentic self and thoughts that are simply old programming playing on repeat. The authentic thoughts feel aligned, expansive, and energizing. The programmed thoughts feel contractive, repetitive, and draining. Your intuitive faculties are sharpening to levels that border on precognition. You begin knowing things before they happen, sensing outcomes before they manifest, receiving information about people and situations without any logical source for that knowledge. This isn't psychic ability in the mystical sense. This is your consciousness learning to read the probability waves that exist in the quantum field before they collapse into physical experience. The challenge isn't accessing this information. The challenge is learning to trust it even when it contradicts what your rational mind considers possible or logical. Your expanded awareness can perceive patterns and connections that linear thinking cannot process. Learning to act on this knowing requires courage and faith in your own deepest intelligence. Your financial reality is reorganizing itself around principles of flow rather than accumulation. Money begins moving through your experience in ways that feel effortless and abundant. But the old paradigm of hoarding and scarcity-based planning becomes increasingly irrelevant. You discover that true security comes from alignment with universal supply, not from controlling external resources. This shift can feel terrifying to the parts of your mind that were trained to find safety through accumulation and control. But as you practice trusting the flow, you discover that your needs are always met in ways that often exceed what you thought you wanted. The universe operates from abundance, and when you align with that frequency, abundance becomes your natural experience. Your physical body is becoming more sensitive to energy fields, electromagnetic frequencies, and environmental toxins that didn't affect you before. Foods that once seemed normal may now cause immediate discomfort. Environments with chaotic energy may feel overwhelming. Artificial electromagnetic fields from devices and wireless signals may create physical symptoms that demand your attention. This increased sensitivity isn't a problem to solve, but intelligence to honor. Your body is becoming a more refined instrument for navigating reality, capable of detecting subtle information that helps you make choices aligned with your highest good. Learning to listen to these signals and adjust your environment accordingly accelerates your transformation and maintains your energetic clarity. Sleep becomes a portal for downloading information from higher dimensional sources. Your dreams transform into vivid experiences where you receive detailed guidance, connect with other awakened beings, and explore realities that exist beyond physical limitations. Some dreams feel more real than waking life, containing information and experiences that continue to influence your consciousness long after you return to ordinary awareness. Keeping a dream journal during this period captures valuable guidance that your conscious mind might otherwise forget. The symbols, conversations, and scenarios that appear in your sleep state often contain precise instructions for navigating challenges or recognizing opportunities in your waking reality. Your relationship with authority figures and institutional systems begins to transform as you recognize that true authority comes from alignment with universal principles, not from hierarchical positioning. You may find yourself naturally questioning systems and structures that once seemed legitimate but now feel misaligned with your expanding awareness of what's actually possible for human civilization. This questioning isn't rebellion for its own sake, but recognition that many current systems were designed to maintain limitation rather than support human flourishing. As your consciousness expands, you naturally gravitate toward ways of living and working that honor individual sovereignty while contributing to collective well-being. The pace of synchronicities accelerates to levels that would have seemed impossible just weeks ago. Every conversation contains relevant information. Every book that crosses your path opens to exactly the page you need to read. Every seemingly random encounter provides exactly the connection or resource that serves your current evolution. These synchronicities aren't just confirming that you're on the right path. They're demonstrating that you're becoming increasingly transparent to universal intelligence, allowing life to flow through you with minimum resistance. The more aligned you become, the more magical your external experience appears, though what seems magical is simply the natural result of operating from coherent frequency. Your creative output is being infused with frequencies that carry transformational potential for others. Whether you're writing, speaking, creating art, or simply having conversations, your expression naturally contains activation codes that trigger awakening in receptive individuals. This isn't something you have to try to do. It's something that happens naturally when you're operating from authentic alignment. The impact you have on others may be far greater than you realize. People you interact with briefly may experience life-changing shifts simply from being in your presence. Your authentic expression gives others permission to access aspects of themselves they've kept hidden or denied. Your willingness to live from expanded awareness makes that same expansion feel possible for those ready to receive it. Your perception of time continues to shift as you learn to navigate from presence rather than linear progression. The past becomes a resource rather than a prison containing wisdom and strength you can access without being bound by previous limitations. The future becomes a creative canvas rather than a source of anxiety, filled with potentials you can influence through your current choices and frequency. This relationship with time allows you to make decisions from a much broader perspective. Instead of reacting to immediate circumstances, you can sense the long-term trajectories of different choices and select paths that align with your highest evolution. What might seem like sacrifice from a short-term perspective reveals itself as perfect positioning for long-term fulfillment. The electromagnetic field generated by your activated consciousness is beginning to influence the collective field in ways that extend far beyond your personal sphere. Every moment you spend in coherent states contributes to the overall frequency of human consciousness, making transformation easier for individuals who haven't yet begun their own awakening process. This collective influence operates through what scientists call morphic resonance, where patterns of information spread through fields of consciousness without direct communication. Your individual transformation becomes a gift to the entire species, creating energetic templates that others can access when they're ready for their own expansion. The resistance you encounter, both internal and external, intensifies as your frequency stabilizes at higher levels. Old patterns make final attempts to reassert themselves. Relationships may become strained as you outgrow dynamics based on shared limitations. Professional situations may become untenable as you can no longer align with work that doesn't serve your authentic expression. This resistance isn't evidence that something is wrong. It's evidence that something profound is shifting. Every system, whether internal or external, that depended on your previous level of consciousness must reorganize or dissolve as you embody your expanded potential. Learning to navigate this resistance without contracting back into familiar patterns determines whether your transformation stabilizes or remains temporary. Your nervous system is developing the capacity to maintain coherent states under increasingly challenging circumstances. What once would have triggered automatic reactions of stress, fear, or anger now becomes an opportunity to practice operating from your expanded self. This isn't about suppressing emotions or pretending everything is perfect. It's about maintaining your center while allowing life to move through you without knocking you off balance. The countdown continues its relentless progression toward September 30th. Each day that passes without full commitment to your transformation represents irretrievable opportunity. The supportive field conditions that make this level of rapid evolution possible are temporary by design. After the window closes, individual transformation remains possible but requires exponentially more effort and sustained focus. Your decision cannot be postponed indefinitely. Every moment of hesitation, every day spent in familiar patterns instead of embracing expansion, Every choice to remain comfortable instead of choosing growth moves you further from optimal positioning for this collective upgrade. The universe will not wait for you to feel ready. Readiness is a choice, not a feeling. But for those who fully commit to embodying their activated potential, who choose expansion over comfort consistently throughout the remaining days, who align their entire existence with the frequency of their highest possibility, a reality awaits that transcends every limitation you currently accept as normal. The time for half measures has ended. The moment for complete transformation is now. The cellular restructuring accelerating through your system right now is preparing you for capabilities that exist beyond current human understanding. Your mitochondria are optimizing their energy production to support consciousness states that were previously accessible only to advanced practitioners after decades of dedicated training. These changes are happening automatically as your awareness maintains alignment with the activation frequencies, but they require your conscious cooperation to fully integrate. Your breathing patterns are shifting as your nervous system learns to extract different types of information from the atmosphere around you. Each inhale is beginning to draw in not just oxygen, but subtle energetic data about your environment, other people's emotional states and probability currents flowing through the quantum field. This enhanced respiratory intelligence allows you to navigate social situations with unprecedented clarity and make decisions based on information your previous self couldn't detect. The magnetic field of your heart is expanding beyond its previous boundaries, creating an invisible sphere of influence that extends further each day. People entering this field experience subtle shifts in their own consciousness, often reporting feelings of clarity, peace, or sudden insight after spending time in your presence. This isn't something you're doing deliberately, it's the natural result of maintaining coherent heart rhythms consistently enough that your electromagnetic signature becomes a stabilizing force in chaotic environments. Your relationship with physical matter is transforming as you begin to understand that solid reality is far more malleable than you were taught to believe. Objects in your environment may seem to respond to your emotional states more directly. Technology may function differently in your presence, sometimes malfunctioning when you're in contracted states, sometimes performing beyond normal parameters when you're in expanded awareness. This isn't imagination or wishful thinking. This is your consciousness learning to interface directly with the electromagnetic fields that create the appearance of solid matter. Every thought you think generates measurable frequencies that interact with the quantum foam from which physical reality emerges. As your thought patterns become more coherent, your influence on material circumstances becomes more pronounced. The language centers of your brain are being rewired to process multiple layers of meaning simultaneously. Conversations begin to contain depth and nuance that weren't available through your previous communication capacity. You start hearing what people aren't saying as clearly as what they are saying. The spaces between words become as meaningful as the words themselves. This enhanced communication ability extends beyond human interaction. You begin receiving information from natural systems, sensing the intelligence operating through plants, animals, weather patterns, and geological formations. The entire planet reveals itself as a conscious entity communicating through countless interconnected systems, and your expanded awareness allows you to participate in these conversations. Your memory is reorganizing itself around significance rather than chronology. Events from years ago that contain relevant wisdom for your current situation suddenly become vivid and accessible. Meanwhile, experiences that served your previous identity but have no bearing on your expanded path begin to fade, making space for new information and capabilities. This memory restructuring isn't loss, it's optimization. Your consciousness is learning to retain what serves your highest evolution while releasing what keeps you anchored to limitations you've outgrown. The result is a mind that operates with laser focus on what matters most for your continued expansion. Your digestive system is becoming more sensitive to the energetic quality of food beyond its nutritional content. Meals prepared with love and intention nourish you far more effectively than technically perfect nutrition created without consciousness. You may find yourself naturally drawn to foods grown in living soil, prepared by people operating from positive emotional states, blessed or infused with intentional energy. This shift extends to all forms of consumption, information, entertainment. Music and media that once seemed neutral now clearly either support or drain your expanding awareness. Your system begins automatically filtering out content that lowers your frequency while drawing you toward materials that accelerate your transformation. The people manifesting in your reality during these final weeks are not random encounters. Each person carrying activation potential for your continued evolution appears at precisely the moment you're ready to receive what they offer. Some bring challenges that strengthen your ability to maintain coherent states under pressure. Others bring collaboration opportunities that amplify your creative output exponentially. Your expanded awareness can sense these significant encounters before they fully manifest. You may find yourself in unexpected locations at unusual times following intuitive impulses that lead to meetings with people who change the trajectory of your development. Learning to trust these guidance signals and act on them immediately becomes essential for maximizing the opportunities available during this window. Your creative expression is being infused with frequencies that carry evolutionary potential for anyone who encounters your work. Whether you're creating art, writing, music, or simply the way you live your daily life, your authentic expression naturally contains activation codes that trigger awakening responses in individuals whose consciousness is ready to expand. This creative upgrade operates through you, not from you. Your role becomes learning to step aside and allow universal intelligence to create through your unique configuration of talents and perspectives. The results often surprise you as much as they impact others because you're channeling capabilities that exceed your personal limitations. Your relationship with money and resources continues evolving beyond scarcity-based thinking toward understanding abundance as a natural state when consciousness operates from coherent alignment. Resources begin flowing toward your authentic expression through channels you couldn't have predicted or planned. Opportunities to receive and contribute value multiply as you embody the frequency of someone who trusts universal supply. This shift requires releasing attachment to specific forms, while remaining clear about your authentic needs and desires. The universe often delivers what you need through paths your logical mind wouldn't have considered, but the delivery requires you to remain open to receiving through unexpected channels. Your sleep becomes a laboratory for exploring expanded states of consciousness that aren't accessible during ordinary waking awareness. Lucid dreaming episodes increase as you learn to maintain conscious presence while your body rests. Some dream experiences feel like actual journeys to other dimensional realities where you receive training and information that influences your waking capabilities. The boundary between sleeping and waking consciousness begins to blur as you develop the ability to access dreamlike states while fully alert. These altered states provide direct access to creative solutions, intuitive guidance, and healing frequencies that transform both your internal experience and external circumstances. Your physical coordination and sensory perception are upgrading to support your expanded awareness. Balance improves as your inner ear adjusts to navigating multiple dimensional frequencies simultaneously. Vision may sharpen or begin perceiving subtle energetic phenomena around people and objects. Hearing becomes more sensitive to frequency ranges that contain information beyond ordinary sound. These sensory enhancements allow you to navigate reality with greater precision and safety. Your body becomes an increasingly sophisticated instrument for detecting environmental conditions, reading people's authentic intentions, and sensing opportunities or dangers before they become obvious through conventional means. Your emotional range is expanding to include states of consciousness that your previous identity couldn't access. Joy becomes more profound without requiring external triggers. Peace deepens into unshakable stability that remains constant regardless of circumstances. Love transforms from personal attachment into universal recognition that connects you with all life. These expanded emotional states aren't temporary peak experiences. They become your new baseline as your nervous system learns to maintain coherent patterns consistently. What once required meditation retreats or special practices to achieve becomes available moment by moment throughout ordinary daily activities. The electromagnetic sensitivity developing through your system allows you to detect environmental factors that influence consciousness states. Certain locations may feel energizing while others feel draining. Specific times of day may offer optimal conditions for different types of activities. Weather patterns may affect your awareness in ways you never noticed before. Learning to work with these natural rhythms and environmental influences optimizes your transformation process. Instead of forcing yourself to maintain consistent productivity regardless of conditions, you begin aligning your activities with the energetic currents that support peak performance and continued evolution. Your understanding of health and vitality is shifting from symptom management toward recognizing your body as an intelligent system that communicates through sensation and energy flow. Physical discomfort becomes information about misalignment rather than problems requiring suppression. Energy levels become feedback about lifestyle choices that support or hinder your expanding consciousness. This body intelligence operates beyond conventional medical understanding. Your system begins naturally gravitating toward healing modalities, movement practices, and lifestyle adjustments that support your transformation. What your body needs for optimal function may differ significantly from standard health recommendations, but following your internal guidance produces superior results. Your capacity for processing information continues expanding beyond linear thinking toward holistic pattern recognition. Complex situations that once required extensive analysis now reveal their essential dynamics immediately. Decision-making becomes increasingly intuitive as you learn to sense the energetic signature of different choices before implementing them. This enhanced processing ability extends to learning new skills, understanding complex concepts, and integrating disparate pieces of information into coherent wholes. Your mind operates more like a quantum computer, processing multiple probability streams simultaneously rather than following single-threaded logical sequences. The resistance patterns attempting to pull you back into familiar limitations are making final attempts to reassert control as September 30th approaches. Old addictive behaviors may intensify temporarily. Relationship dramas may escalate as people unconsciously attempt to recreate dynamics based on your previous identity. Professional situations may become more challenging as your expanding awareness makes it difficult to participate in systems that don't align with your authentic values. Understanding that this resistance is actually confirmation of your successful transformation prevents you from interpreting these challenges as evidence that something is wrong. Every pattern that served your limited self must dissolve or transform as you embody your expanded potential. The intensity of resistance often correlates directly with the magnitude of the breakthrough approaching. Your influence on collective consciousness accelerates as your individual frequency stabilizes at consistently higher levels. Every moment spent in coherent states contributes energetic support for others who are struggling with their own transformation process. Your presence becomes a transmission station broadcasting frequencies that make awakening easier for people you may never consciously encounter. This collective influence operates through quantum entanglement principles where consciousness states can be shared across distance and time. Your successful navigation of this transformation process creates pathways in the morphic field that others can follow when they're ready for their own expansion. Your individual awakening becomes a gift to the entire human collective. The window continues narrowing with mathematical precision. September 30th represents more than an arbitrary deadline. It marks the completion of a planetary consciousness upgrade cycle that occurs at specific intervals throughout human evolution. Missing this particular window doesn't prevent individual growth, but it does mean missing the optimal conditions that make rapid transformation relatively effortless. The choice before you transcends personal preference. This is a species-level invitation to participate in the next phase of human evolution. Your decision affects not only your own trajectory, but the collective momentum toward expanded planetary consciousness. Every person who fully embraces this opportunity contributes to the critical mass necessary for establishing new baseline frequencies for all humanity. The time for gradual change has ended. The moment for quantum transformation demands your complete commitment right now. Your nervous system is recalibrating its baseline frequency patterns as we move into the final phase of this activation window. What began as subtle shifts in your awareness has now become a complete reorganization of how your consciousness interfaces with reality itself. The electromagnetic field generated by your brain is operating at frequencies that were previously accessible only during peak states of meditation or profound creative flow. These frequencies are now becoming your standard operating mode. The people around you are beginning to notice changes they can't quite articulate. Your presence carries a different quality now, something that makes others feel simultaneously more relaxed and more energized. Conversations with you tend to go deeper than expected. People find themselves sharing thoughts and feelings they normally keep private, as if your expanded awareness creates a safe space for authentic expression. This isn't coincidence. Your biofield has expanded to encompass a larger sphere of influence, naturally entraining others toward more coherent states when they spend time in your vicinity. You've become what researchers call a coherence generator, someone whose stable high-frequency patterns help stabilize the chaotic patterns of those around them. The transmission ends here, but your transformation continues. Every word that has passed through your awareness has already altered your neural architecture in ways that cannot be undone. You are no longer the same person who began reading this message. The countdown to September 30th continues, but the choice of how to use these remaining days belongs entirely to you. Will you step fully into the frequency you've glimpsed? Or will you allow this activation to fade back into the background of ordinary consciousness? The window remains open, but it will not remain open forever.